Woke up to the sunrise, feeling brand new. The world's so wide, and I'm ready to break through. The rose calling my name, it's a wild, sweet sound. Every step I take, I'm just turning it around. I've seen the mountains, the oceans, the skies. Every sunrise paints a new surprise. City so far, I'm chasing the dream of who we are.
I'm back in Amsterdam, but just for the night. So it's now 10:15 and I've basically just arrived. I'm just coming into the centre just to go for a couple of drinks, maybe find a karaoke bar, and then I'm gonna head back to my hotel, which is near to the airport. I decided to stay there because I've got an early flight tomorrow to my next destination. So I've never been that keen on Amsterdam, but being back here brings back a lot of memories. These were like the kind of countries that I used to come to, the kind of cities I used to come to in my early days of adventuring, exploring the world. I'd come to a place like Amsterdam, Brussels, Luxembourg. So it's quite nostalgic being back. And I kind of wish that I'd flown in a bit earlier and made a bit more out of this. But Amsterdam's so close, it's easy to come to, even by Eurostar. Today I'm in San Jose in Costa Rica. I arrived yesterday via Amsterdam and I was pretty tired. But I managed to go to an Irish pub, got that ticked off my list. And it was quite a nice Irish pub, so depending on what happens tonight, I might pop back for a couple of beers there, I don't know. But I am meeting up with an Intrepid travel tour group like I've done twice in the past. Peru, it worked really well. Egypt, it was okay. So I'm hoping it's going to be a bit better than Egypt. So I'm going to have a little bit of a walk around the city of San Jose. I don't think there's loads to see around here. Los Presentes is behind me. It's just a group of statues in front of a central bank. I'm sure it must mean something, and it must have some kind of historical significance that I probably should have checked out before actually coming along here. And I'm now at Park Central, or I guess Central Park, San Jose, and there's like a statue behind me of a guy with a hammer. That could be the guy that built the park. I should really look into what I'm visiting, really, shouldn't I? So there's like a big sort of like pagoda, would that be the right word? Which is quite interesting to see. There's still Christmas decorations up. So it is still the end of January, and I know quite a few countries do still have Christmas decorations up at this time of year. There's not a great deal here at this park, so I'm going to move on and check out some of the other sites of the city. Just across the street from the park is the cathedral. It's hard to get quite a good view of this. I would have been better at the other side where the park is. I don't think I'm going to go inside. If I try and go around the side, you'll be able to see the domes, but they're more towards the rear of the cathedral. Let's see what I can see around here. So that's kind of the side of the cathedral. You can see the domes. Next up, we have got Theatre National, or the National Theatre. So everything's very close by that I've come across so far. Very easy walking to each different place. So I'm trying to be a bit careful with my belongings because I don't want to be pickpocketed. I don't think I'm going to get mugged at this time of day, but I have heard that it can be a bit dangerous going out late at night by yourself. So yesterday when I went to the Irish pub, it was about a 10-minute walk from my hotel, but I just got an Uber, which took about a minute, 2 minutes to get there. But just to be on the safe side, I decided to get an Uber. I'll do the same tonight if I go out somewhere. Although as I'll be with a group of people, potentially, then it's probably safer to walk around with a group. So I have got a new action camera, which is the Insta360, because when I was in Dubai, my GoPro Hero 8, which is from years ago, pretty much died a death. So I thought I'd try the Insta360, see how it performs. There's a lot this can do that the GoPro could not do. So whether or not it'll be better or not, I don't know. Probably the nicest building I've seen so far in the city. And after this, there's not really a great deal more for me to see. So I'm just going to keep walking the streets and see what else I can find. And I really need to get some food because I haven't had breakfast and it's around about 11 PM now and I'm starving. I am going to head towards the craft market now, I think it's just going to be full of cheap and tacky souvenirs. I do want to get some good souvenirs, especially a traditional mask from here. But I have seen some other places that sell some nicely crafted and painted masks, but they're in some of the other places that I'll visit later on in my trip. But I'm just going to have a quick look around the craft market to see what it's like. Again, it's not far from like the theatre or anything else, and it's just across the road here. It's quite a big place. If you just want tacky souvenirs, I think this is a place to come to. But I'm just going to have a look just in case they have got something really nice inside. So I've come inside the craft market. There's lots of stalls here, quite tightly packed. Actually, it's quite large, quite a big place. They all seem to be selling quite similar things, kind of what I expected. I haven't really seen anything so far that stands out. Getting a little bit hassled, but not too much. Nowhere near as bad as places like Egypt or Morocco. But yeah, I think it's probably worth coming in here if you want to find something cheap and easy. You'll probably find it in here. If you want something a bit nicer, I think there are definitely more specialist stores around the country. One thing I have just found as I've been walking the streets is what appears to be a statue of John Lennon. So I'm not too sure what significance he holds in Costa Rica. Maybe he came here once, I'm not too sure. And there's also a church across the way just there, Our Lady of Solitude. I'm now in the area of Barrio Escalante, which is kind of a new up-and-coming area. It does look quite nice around here, and although I felt fairly safe in downtown, it feels much safer around here and much nicer, prettier. So the reason I've come here is because there's a Costa Rica beer factory just around the corner, and they're meant to have nice food in there, so it'll be a good place for me to try maybe a few local beers and try some of the food. The beer factory was nice, food was good, and the beer was good, so it was worth visiting, and at least I've eaten now. Last stop before I head back to check into my hotel, and that's the National Museum of Costa Rica. So I was a bit unsure if I'm just going to take a photo outside or go inside, but I think it would be quite interesting to learn a little bit about the history of Costa Rica, and I've got some time to kill, so why not? I've just come into the museum and I'm in a butterfly sanctuary, which I guess is the first part of the museum. I don't know. Anyone that knows me well knows that I've got a butterfly phobia. Although when I was in the Amazon rainforest, it wasn't so bad, and there were certain butterflies landing on me, and it was kind of okay. So I didn't mind it too much. And so far, I've seen a couple of small butterflies. No real big ones as of yet. But you can actually see all the cocoons here, and look, there's one moving. Actually, there's a couple moving as if they're just coming out of their cocoons, which is kind of fascinating. The museum's quite interesting. It's got basically the whole history of Costa Rica. I've only kind of gone through it quite quickly. I haven't looked at every single display and read every single thing as I'm going through. I've been mainly interested in like the more sort of tribal elements and like the various statues and sculptures, like the early inhabitants of Costa Rica. For me, I find that a lot more interesting. It's still quite interesting to see how they've started to become a bit more European and have kind of progressed throughout the years, similar to the Western world. But for me, I just love learning more about the real sort of traditional culture and history and folklore and all that kind of stuff. That interests me a lot more. There's a really beautiful garden in the middle. I kind of wish it was a little bit sunnier because it's quite cloudy, and there's beautiful views. If I just sort of look over here, I didn't realise how mountainous it was actually around Costa Rica, but it's quite mountainous areas around and quite beautiful landscape around here. Just checked into my hotel room. Actually, it's quite a nice hotel, nicer than the one I stayed at last night. It's meant to be a 4-star hotel. The thing is, I've read up a lot about this hotel and there's been a lot of bad reviews because not all the rooms have got windows. Maybe because I booked to be by myself rather than with somebody else. Because in Egypt, it was a nightmare. Trying to share with somebody that you don't know, it was hard. I could not get into the shower. When I wanted to get in the shower, it was a nightmare. But I paid a little bit extra to have a room by myself, and I've got windows, but more so than windows, I've got a balcony as well. Fantastic. It's not the best view in the world, I have to admit, like view of a car park, but I'm quite happy. The only thing is, I'm only here for one night. We do come back here at the end of the trip for one night, but I'm going to be heading back to the airport and I will not be staying that night. So yeah, at least I can have a good night's sleep here tonight. So we left San Jose this morning and we've been on the road for a few hours and we're driving towards a homestead. So we're going to stay with some local families tonight. But on the way, we just stopped at this restaurant and there are iguanas here. So I've made it to Santa Rosa de Pocosol, which is where the homestay is. We're about to go on a trek to see a waterfall. The weather's been a bit wet, so it is quite muddy, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And there is a chance of seeing some nature, wildlife, possibly going to see a sloth. I'm hoping by the time this trip's over, I will have got to see a sloth in the wild. The only real wildlife I've come across so far are leafcutter ants and some other ants that look like bullet ants but smaller, so I don't think they pack quite as big a bite. But leafcutter ants, there are a few, but nowhere near as many as I saw in the Amazon, and it's so difficult trying not to step on them because they're just all over the path. We made it to the waterfall. Quite an impressive waterfall actually, not as tall as I was expecting, but it's quite wide and it is quite slippery on that little rock over there, but I did manage to get across and get a couple of photos taken. So in the distance there's a sloth in a tree. It's quite hard to see because there's lots of trees and leaves in the way, and I guess it's moving very slowly. I don't know if I can get a little bit closer. Oh yeah, it's got a baby on it. Look at that. Wow, that is amazing. Just over there, they're quite a distance. There seems to be two types. There's one that's more of a sort of orangey brownish colour and ones that are just black, which are very small, but they're quite a distance. It's hard to get a good photo or video from where we are, but I think all the other places we're going to go to in the next few days, I think we're going to have a better chance of seeing monkeys there. And for me, seeing that sloth and getting so close to that sloth and its baby was amazing. I did get so close to it and that was amazing. I'm so glad I got to see a sloth. I mean, there could be lots of other opportunities coming up, but at least I've definitely seen one in the wild.